let's talk about atheism. What is atheism? What exactly do they believe? Is it a set of beliefs or is it just a way of life? So if I could ask you to.
It's a very topical question, as you mentioned, Usman Sab, and especially given the fact that if you study all the research polls given in the last few decades, we see that a rising trend, especially in the West, in the fact that atheism you can't deny it's on the rise. Whether people are leaving organized religion or they just don't believe in God, or they just don't ascribe to anything. So that in itself is on the rise. So atheism, if you want the textbook answer, is the fact there's a lack of belief in God or multiple gods. But in the world today, we meet different types of atheists. And on the one hand, there'll be some who say that there is absolutely no evidence for the existence of God. And these are in the minority. Then there are some atheists who say that there is no evidence, or we don't see any evidence for the existence of God, and therefore we don't see the reason to believe in God. Some of the prominent atheists in the world these days, we know Richard Dawkins is one. And the reason why I mention him is because he fluctuates from one to the other, from one category to the other, in the sense that initially his stance was that he would say that I don't see any evidence for the existence of God, and science is everything. But then again, recently in an interview, someone asked him that, what would it take for you to believe in God? And initially he said that I thought it would have been the second coming of Jesus, or a booming voice from the skies. So then the question asked again, what would it take? And he said, well, now I think nothing really. And that's a direct quote. So what I mean to say is that these sorts of trends are on the rise, and it's not just the fact that they don't believe in God. In fact, they're opposed to organized religion as well, and they've made that their manifesto to attack organized religion. And of course, in this day and age, as we know, that Islam, on the other hand, is on the rise, and Islam, people ascribing to Islam is increasing. So, as you can say, the two heavyweights in this division are up there in the sense of Islam and atheism.
Zafar Sahib was talking about organized religion and how atheism, or people who are very strong proponents of atheism, they say that organized religion is the result of all of the conflict that we see in the world today. So since religion is responsible for that, and religion is an offshoot of God, therefore we neither believe in God and we neither believe in religion either. But and I've often heard that atheists will almost attack, if you will, religious people and say that they're staunch believers of things which have no evidence, and they hold by their view and they don't change their opinion even if evidence is presented. But you asked about religion as well. The thing is, atheism, although it's not called a religion, but it's no different. If atheists raise the objection against people who believe in God, that they are rigid and they hold to their views, and that is a sign of organized religion, well then a religious person can say the same thing about people who are atheists. And you just gave the example of Richard Dawkins, where they've already decided that they're not going to change their mind, and it's probably going to take someone coming down physically and revealing themselves for them to believe. But God doesn't walk down to earth in the form of a person and walk around and introduce himself to people. There's other ways that we learn about God. So if we're just going to talk about, religion is merely a way of life. It's a path, it's a course that someone takes in life. And that can be one of belief and it can be one of unbelief. I think the real important thing to remember is that whether it's belief in God or non-belief in God, a closed-minded, rigid attitude towards any philosophy in life is always a detrimental thing, and it always prevents us from learning new things. So I would say to people who are atheists that they need to ask themselves this question, whether they've really exhausted all of the avenues for research into God, and if they haven't, then they should. And as far as religious people are concerned, if we speak about ourselves, I'm sure we can say that we believe in God because we have evidence that he exists, and we have experienced God, and we've gone on this journey to experience God. So I think on both sides, whether it's talking about belief or non-belief, we have to make sure that we believe in the things we believe, not because of a preconceived prejudice, but because we genuinely believe that based on evidence and through reflection and contemplation.
Just